All right, everyone, clankers, we should be live. So clank your spoons. I don't have one. Well, I do on my backboard, but that's just for decoration. Got my energy drink ready. I'm hyper caffeinated today, and there's still a lot more to do. I had a productive morning, actually. Before noon, vacuumed the floor, did the dishes, watered the garden twice, actually, did my morning videos and an edit of about 10 pages of literature. Got another thing out to my illustrator for the third of 5 works that I'm currently editing. I think I did a couple of other things too. Now clean the counter and shit. I don't know. I have more energy today. A couple of days ago, actually, I was like really de-energized. You may have even noticed it on the live stream for the last couple of days because of the heat wave. But now I've sort of gotten into it and I'm like, oh, fuck it. I'm thinking of making chili later, like ultra spicy, lots and lots of hot peppers or something. That's the sort of thing to have on a day like today. I was going to make actually dal makhani, which is an Indian food. But I forgot to soak the beans overnight. Whoops. Without the urad dal, it is not dal makhani. Now, let's make sure that we're actually live on Rumble. And hopefully today they'll actually tell people that I'm live. Yesterday there was a glitch. Yes, I am live on Rumble. Okay. Lots of people in chat, so my hope is that it's been restored to normal. They did talk about a glitch the other day, actually, on Twitter, but I don't think it was related to this. It was an upload problem. Beep, bop, boop. Thoughts on Salman Rushdie? I will be covering that. That will be major news for the day. It is obviously the result of Islamofascism. It's pretty obvious. There's a fatwa against him, etc. Didn't the head of Iran call for him to die? And I wonder why someone would attack him. I won't say the name of the person that attacked. I'm using an entirely different link, but you can look that up for yourself. I think that it's fairly self-evident. Stephen Ramy, you do not have to soak beans. For some recipes, yes, you actually do. You try putting the urad dal in the dal makhani as is dry, and you're going to break your teeth probably. So I'm going to soak it overnight, and I'm going to try to be doing that. Oh, Tony G38, I made jalapeno poppers yesterday. That is something that I do want to try, but there's no jalapenos available in this country. Sad. I've grown them before. I mean, they grow really well in Rutland, actually. But we got a lot to cover today. Make sure everything's working here. Just a second, everyone. I've got to make sure that my tabs are all open. We have the DOJ warrant, of course, for the Mar-a-Lago. Cenk, Uyghur, and his epic breakdown. Almost getting ratioed on that post, by the way. Liz Cheney, not much in the way of news, but it's funny anyway. Also, we're going to be covering PolitiFact. Sebastian Monroe, I noticed your videos had lots of pollen and dander flying around. Your poor sinuses. You should get an air purifier and filters. You'll recover soon. I do have some allergy problems and actually mild asthma. I would get, that, but I'd have to have like 3 or 4 of them directly around me. I'd have to have a wall of air purifiers for it to make any difference. There is quite a bit of pollen. Thankfully, mostly I'm allergic to pine tree pollen. There aren't any pine trees around here, so that's definitely a good thing. On the other side of the country, or even further from it, there are some pines in the Netherlands. They're all centered in the middle of the country, so, I don't know, 10, 15 miles west of here, roughly. There is a large forest there. There's actually wolves in it and owls and shit. So it's sort of like a fairy tale forest, I guess. On the other side of the country, you're never going to encounter that pollen. I had no allergies at all when I was in the Amsterdam area. So yeah, I think I'll skip the air purifiers. We're getting towards the end of summer anyway. Stephen Salmon, what's the least authoritarian country left in Western Europe right now? Oh, Western Europe. Well, I mean, if Switzerland counts as Western instead of Central Europe, I suppose they would be the ones. The Netherlands would be high on the list. And if does Denmark count, or is that just Northern Europe? Kalashnikov sticks. Have you ever eaten cat? No, but I would not look against it. To be clear, I am not a meat purist. I'll also try horse. It's legal here in Europe. It's not in the United States for the most part, which is, I think, slightly odd. It's because of that, the noble stallion, sort of the Marlboro Man imagery of the Gunsmoke era. So you're not allowed to eat horse meat in the United States. I don't know. It's supposedly not as good as beef, but I'd like to try it someday. Like to try hippopotamus meat, actually. I imagine that's got a lot of fucking fat on it. It's probably like bear, only maybe less gamey. Stephen McIntyre, Curtis Yarvin made a great Substack on right and left using Lord of the Rings. Left is elves, right are hobbits. Hobbits want to cook and drink, elves want to rule. He argued to elect dark elves to favor hobbits. That sounds cringy, actually, to tell the truth. So we'll get right into it, since we are actually live. And yes, people are being told that I'm live on Rumble today, because there are over 200 people already watching. It's pretty good. We're already at 5 Biden loser units. Keep it up, everyone. Desert Hamster, there are several spots on the wall behind Sticks. Yes, that is where the sword was mounted, actually, initially. The hangers, unfortunately, fell off. In this country, most of the walls are going to be, cement. So, unless you want to do some drilling with an electric drill, and landlords don't necessarily like that, you're going to be using adhesive hangers. Mark Giadetti, Obama legalized horse meat in 2013. I believe that is, I don't know if that's actually the case. Luka Pilipovic, I can't tell if the raids are going to help Trump or not. I genuinely can't tell. Can Dems use the raids against MAGA in the midterms? That is their purpose. They do not actually intend to jail Trump. They might try to charge him, although I still think jury's out on that. We will be getting into that with the first news story of the day. Breitbart, of course, they attained the warrant unredacted, so you should definitely take a look at that link in the description. Exclusive, warrant shows DOJ, FBI waited several days after judge approved to conduct Mar-a-Lago raid. Yes, there was an imminent threat to national security, so they waited 3 days to actually raid the paperwork that they already had access to, because for 4 months prior, they were already cooperating with Donald Trump and his people, his lawyers at the Mar-a-Lago. What's in the warrant? A bunch of bullshit. What's not in the warrant? Any mention of nuclear details. You'll notice that. There's a reason why he chose to release it at that time. What's also not in it is a stunning rebuke of all of the leftoids who said that if he had nothing to hide and was innocent, he would release the warrant. Well, he did. They immediately went silent on that and started pivoting to nuclear secrets. To be clear, the WAPO article has an unnamed source and unnamed paperwork claiming that there are nuclear secrets in this pile of potentially top secret documents. The warrant and the inventory list also don't make clear, was the top secret labeling in the inventory list? Is it the agents went there for the first time they're seeing the papers, they believed it to be top secret, and so they put that on the inventory return? Or is it more of a case of they already knew because Trump was cooperating with them for months and the raid was unnecessary? Because one of these two things is true. This stinks to high hell. It is a witch hunt. And it sounds more and more like an even more crazy version of the Pissgate sort of thing. It's beginning to sound a little bit like the Russia investigation. And the timing, I do not believe, is coincidental. They're doing this a few months before midterms to hold this over the heads of the MAGA candidates. Thereafter, whether they charge or not, and if they charge him, and I'll discuss this, I don't believe the charges stick. If they don't, there's uproar, but the midterms are already over. And that's really, I think, what they're trying to do. Sticks, Hex, and Handsaw, you're the only one who can suppress the nails. Please come back. Ngrat, come to Japan and you can eat horse rock. Dip it in soy sauce with ginger for the delicacy of your life. I would love to go to Tokyo and eat all the weird foods that are there. I do want pizza from a vending machine once in my life. The Japanese seem to have developed something that it took the U.S. about 20 years to develop for their MREs, which is shelf-stable pizza. Josh, here's an idea. Trade all leftoids for Taiwan. I'd be amenable to such an idea, as long as Hong Kong is thrown in there too. E. Lombard, yes, nuclear secrets stashed in Melania's lingerie drawer. Liars. Yeah, I mean, they raid the place and they tear it apart. And by the way, this warrant, one of the items, I think it was section B, if I remember correctly, effectively means that any and all paperwork, any and all records from any time Trump was president are pertinent to the search. If a normal judge under normal circumstances said, we're going to seize stuff, and it was that broad, they would be shot down. It wouldn't work. If the FBI or some similar agency were seeking such a warrant, they would be denied. The fact is that this is a rubber stamping FISA court style process. Trump did nothing wrong. I fully believe that. He had materials that he had already declassified, and so he had them on hand. He cooperated with the FBI and other groups and said, okay, then I'll double up security. You can look through them. That's perfectly fine. He was doing this for months, and he has come out and straightly said this, probably against the advice of his lawyers. He said, look, I've got nothing to hide. Here's what was taken. Here's this. Here's that. Here's the warrant. I don't give a shit. Go ahead and prosecute and persecute if you want. And the only thing we lack now is the affidavit. I would be very, very interested to see what affidavit actually led to the seizing of these documents. Was it a countermanding of Trump and what he claimed was there? So I guess they're claiming he lied about what was there. Like there's some extra documents he didn't tell the FBI he had. And who made the affidavit? I would love to see the name. Fuck Buck Biden. What are the chances of Hunter Biden running for president in 2024? That dude's too cracked out to run at all. Sticks his chest. Finally, I get some camera time. It's about time. Jack's Regret said $4.99. No comment, thank you. Testicular oxide, hippo and giraffe are delicious. Yeah, never wanted to try giraffe. I imagine that would taste kind of like horse. Aren't they distant relatives? But hippopotamus meat must be really buttery and fatty. Like a better version of bear. So yeah, I mean, let's go to this. Let's see. The first receipt lists out 28 numbered items, including some that have subheaders. Some of the items are actually named, like item number 1, which it says was an executive grant of clemency, RE Roger Jason Stone Jr., or 1A, where it says info RE the President of France. Others, like item 2, are less specific. Herein lies the legal problem, by the way. That item says it is a leather-bound box of documents. Who gives a shit what documents were actually recovered? Crayola drawings from Barron Trump when he was 10 years old? We don't know what the fuck that means. Item 2A says it contained various classified documents. Who cares? It could be some EPA release on the endangered tree frog. Classification means nothing. Item number 3 says it was a potential presidential record. So again, nothing. Items number 4 and 6 both say they were a binder of photos. So I guess the idea is like he took photographs of parts of the White House. Maybe their, security would want them classified or something. It's possible. But if he took the photos, they're effectively declassified the second that he took them. So it wouldn't really make a difference. Item number 7 says it was a handwritten note. Again, that's fairly vague. What was the note about? And 8, 9, and 10 were boxes labeled A1, A12, and A15, respectively. Item A10 specifies that the item allegedly contained miscellaneous secret documents. Again, you're not telling me very much about what was taken. I was going to say stolen from the Mar-a-Lago. Where are nuclear secrets listed here? Documents about science? Can we even get less specific? Scientific documents, potentially classified or something like that. We don't have that header. I think there's a reason for that. Michael Cricklow, pizza from a vending machine is a sacrilege. Yeah, but I'd like to try it once. Go to one of those weeb cafes where everyone's dressed up as cat girls or some shit like that. That'd be funny. I would like to get sushi, like actual fresh, purely Japanese handmade sushi, because you're not going to find that in most parts of the world. PG, love from New Jersey. Sticks, you should get a clown horn to squeeze every time you say honk honk. It would be quite mimetic. It would also overload the audio, and then more people would complain about my audio system. James Knoll, one rumor is T declassified Russiagate docs, and with the election upcoming, that would be powerful. Listen to Kash Patel. He'll be AG if Trump wins. Love you, bro. Thank you. Possible. Yeah, it could be a recovery mission more than anything else. They're not really, they know that nothing there is actually top secret and wasn't D-class, but they're going in there to recover something related to Russiagate, something related to Hunter Biden, and stuff like that. Steven, you said the Justice Department had to break it to the Dems that there was nothing actionable on Trump for January 6th. Where did you see that? Got people calling January 6th an insurrection right next to me. Well, I mean, has there been any action on it? The January 6th committee, I can't remember. There was one council member, I think back in July, who got Liz Cheney's ire, actually, on that by saying that effectively they weren't going to refer charges to the DOJ because there were no charges to refer. Can't remember which member of the actual group it was. It was a Democrat, by the way. But yes, they have collapsed. They have nothing. They're not going to refer charges. That's quite clear. And so they're defaulting to this. It's the next layer of their witch hunt. JP, prediction. In the middle of the election cycle, Trump tax documents start leaking out from nowhere. Yes, and because everything's classified, if there are any leaks, you can't fact check them. It seems to be their goal now, doesn't it? John Hoyle, wouldn't the document packing have been filmed and formally documents chronicled? Yeah, the documents appear to have been chronicled, and they definitely have security footage of some of the shenanigans that went on there. We'll probably never see them, though. Salty Apostle, did they take Epstein's client list? Yes, it would be interesting. That is potentially one of the documents Trump could have possessed. It's unlikely. It might be wishing for too much, but the possibility is there. Romatom, Sticks, when you have sex, do you clank or clap dem cheeks? Very, very odd comment, my friend, on Rumble. I'm not going to answer that. Over 400 people watching there, though. Jesus, we're almost at 10 Biden loser units right now. Next story. This is related somewhat to the Mar-a-Lago, the Banana Republic break-in. Cenk Uygur. What in the world would Trump be doing with top secret classified information about nuclear weapons? There is absolutely no reason why an ex-president should take that out of the White House, except one, that kind of info would be worth a lot of money. See, the problem is that Cenk posted this before it became clear from the warrant being unsealed that nuclear documents were not actually mentioned there. So basically, you're going based on second or even third-hand knowledge, I use that term loosely, from the Washington Post. The problem is that the Washington Post also gave credence to the Steele dossier, so did the rest of the legacy media. And there's no reason to believe them. There's no evidence of him possessing such documents. I would point out that with the very few exceptions, even if he possessed fucking nuclear schematics, he could declassify them. As long as he mentioned it in passing, whether private or public, to another individual without security clearance, it declassifies the material by default. We'll be getting into that from PolitiFact. So who cares? Unless that you can prove that he actually sold nuclear plans to the Saudis or the Russians or something, and the Russians don't need it specifically, they got their own, you've got nothing. And Cenk was bellowing all night. God, that dude's been going for like 3 or 4 days now. Look at Eric Swallowwell. He's been going even crazier. He's like earlier, he's like, please don't make the mistake. The train is crashing. Please get off of it. You're like, yes, the dude that has called everyone who ever supported Trump, even in a minor way. So you supported anything that Trump did. You voted for him even reluctantly, like, you know, an anti-Hillary voter. You've been proclaimed to be deplorable and depraved and evil and stupid and a rube and retarded and all of these other things for, what now, 6 years. But please, now see the light, please. Get off of the Trump train. These people are fucking terrified. There was David Hogg actually was calling Trump a terrorist the other day. I weighed in and said, oh, good. You're admitting that you're afraid. You're terrified of the dude. Now, Eric Swalwell, the dude that banged a Chinese spy and probably gave up state secrets, is really the one to talk when it comes to these things. I do believe that's likely, by the way. Jack's regret, vending machine pizza with pineapples? Clank. The problem with that is pineapple contains chemicals that actually aid in digestion and might actually start digesting parts of the pizza. It might act upon the colloids within the cheese. I don't know that pineapple pizza, unless it's severely dehydrated and you're meant to add water and reheat it or something, would actually be shelf stable. I think the one they did in the US MREs was pepperoni. But I mean, pepperoni will last forever even if you just lay it on the counter. So it's not really fit to eat when you think about it. Anything that lasts that long without rotting, it's sort of like a McDonald's hamburger, isn't it? The Sacred Order of Knightly Valor, and on the 7th day, God gave the dumb one a vulva. Yeah. Cold Warrior, only 10 Biden units? Everyone must be wiped out from Friday night's party. What recession? Yeah, no, I think it's more Biden loser units now. It's getting up towards, I think it's getting up towards 11 or 12, actually. Lots of clanking, I see. So, yeah, Cenk went crazy. I mean, that's a normal day, so it's not anything huge. But, you know, what in the world would Trump be doing with top secret classified information about nuclear weapons? They didn't even specify it was about weapons in the original WAPO article, you fucking moron. They didn't even say it was about nuclear weapons. They said nuclear secrets. Well, fuck, that could be a low-level classified document about a nuclear plant, and you don't even know that he has that. And if he did, you don't know whether he declassed it. So basically, again, it's a lot about nothing. And this is really just their pivot, their cope and seethe and dilate moment, because he released the warrant. When Trump released the warrant, it took the old talking point that they had for about 48 hours off the table, which was that if he had nothing to hide, he wouldn't care if the warrant was released. He told you he didn't care. The DOJ has released it. He didn't contest that. And he released the unredacted version to Breitbart himself. Well, I guess then he's innocent by your own standing, by your own former comments. Jon Snow, hey Sticks, watched Lauren Southern podcast, and she said it would be good to do a video with you. Maybe get in touch. Also, $5 for the Nappy Fund. I appreciate that. Diapers are expensive. So are energy drinks. Jesus Christ. I think the price on these, by the way, has gone up. For about a week, they didn't have them. And I think that like the farmers had blocked the distribution center or something. And so now the price is like, I don't know, 10 cents higher. I'm willing to absorb the cost in order to continue functioning as a normal human being. The Happy Plague Doctor reminds me of when Johnson declassified the SR-71 for the ratings boost. They had to quickly fly one from Area 51 to Beale Air Force Base for the big reveal. Not that comparing with Lyndon Baines Johnson is necessarily the biggest, and then the biggest compliment you could give Trump. Glassitch, did the White House get everything they want from Congress this year? No talk about BBB passing. Republicans got trashed. Clank. Yeah, on that one, they definitely did, but the inflation will kick in long before 24. It just won't kick in before the midterms, which is why Manchin delayed it until now. Jap Visor, stay awesome, Sticks, always. The Dharma Bum sent $2. No comment, thank you. We'll get past Cenk because he's becoming irrelevant. They'll do the priority creator thing on midterm night, and I'm sure that he'll have plenty of people viewing, most of them which will pan him. Meanwhile, I've got Sleazy P Martini, and I'm operating on several platforms. I will probably end up doing that on Odyssey as well when the time comes due, because I can't use Twitch because I was banned, whatever. Those people are not playing with a full deck. Mopey Hornet, hey Sticks, what is the history of the sword behind you? It's a sword that I bought. It's a Napoleonic era, I believe, if I remember correctly, French cavalry saber. And it is battle ready. It is a real one, fully sharpened by me and myself. Next story, Cheney facing near certain defeat in Wyoming's GOP primary. Talk about understatement of this cycle. Eyes bigger battle ahead. Cheney said in recent weeks that making sure Trump never regains the presidency is more important than her own re-election. Here's another example of a politician who ignores the role that they are supposed to be playing, namely House of Representatives. Wyoming only has one, so you're representative of Wyoming, of the population there. Supermajority Republican, supermajority of those Republicans and a significant proportion of independents there support Trump. So it's probably like 70% of the people of Wyoming. You chose for an extended period of time to ignore their wishes. You did not do your job. And so now you're salty about it. You came out last month and called your own voters crazies, which is literally what she said about people who were going to vote against her and for Hageman. By the way, it is Hageman, not Hagerman. Somebody tried to correct me earlier today. There's no R in there as far as I can tell. Representative Liz Cheney, Trump breached constitutional duty more than any previous president. You didn't even do your job. You are only elected, if you're a representative, you're only elected to represent the interests, that is the desires of the people within your district. There's not a whole lot of wiggle room unless it's like a 50-50 issue or something like that for putting your own conscience in there. There's no purpose to it. That's not the role of the House. If you want that, look at the Senate. So she decided not to do her job. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. When Fox News says she's almost certain to be defeated, no, she's certain to be defeated. You would need the ultimate astronomical alignment in order for her not to lose. She's 30 points behind. She could get every single Democrat in the state to take a ballot and still lose by double digits. She would need not only 100% Democrat turnout on her side taking Republican ballots, she would also need the polls to be wrong and or massively lowered turnout for Hageman. It's impossible. I don't think that there's any particular way in which she can actually win. You're reigning over the corrupt insurrection hoax committee, which has found nothing. You've been doing it for more than a year. You found nothing. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. People are becoming aware of that fact. And so people have pivoted away from that to the Mar-a-Lago raid. Well, where does that leave Liz Cheney? Is it, by the way, coincidental that her primary happens to happen exactly 1 week after the Mar-a-Lago raid? I'm thinking that the stars really are aligning in many ways with regards to these political issues. Zach the Celtics guy, Cenk, the Young Turks, and Sam Cedar are in meltdown mode. So, in other words, it's a Saturday. Azathoth. Hey, Sticks, Korean or Japanese sushi, which is best? I did not know the Koreans made sushi. I know they make kimchi. That's really good, by the way. Very spicy stuff. Although originally kimchi was not actually spiced with chili. It was more of a pickled dish. Dr. Zeodin, you and Alex Stein on BTR was so fucking funny. You said Alex was astroturfed in an earlier stream 10 plus episodes ago. I hope he and you buried the hatchet. No. I wasn't saying that Alex Stein was astroturfed. I was saying the outrage about his AOC bit was astroturfed. I didn't insult him, at least in my recollection. I think maybe I misworded it or something. Maybe I think you might have heard it wrong. I thought his AOC thing was hilarious. Yolked Nick. Hello, Nick. Good morning. I find it interesting. Leftist media pulled a bunch of the nuke weapon stories when Trump released the unredacted warrant. Why doesn't the public trust us? Here's some energy drink money. I've got one right here, and thank you very much. Yes, it is interesting, the timing of that. Oh, yeah, WAPO got new papers. You know, we're not going to tell you who gave it to us. We're not going to show the papers either, or their pedigree, or even what's specifically in them. But trust us, we reviewed papers. Yeah, now that Trump has released the warrant, like 2 or 3 hours ago, I think at the time they released it, it turns out they were looking for nuclear secrets. I believe that. Totally, dude. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, fool me, you can't get fooled again. That quote comes to mind. Stephen Nizek, chance of Wyoming Republican Party pulling a primary equivalent of a honk honk, 0%, just to be clear. I'm thinking that for the single seat elections, honking might be easier. There's no chance of Liz Cheney winning. In fact, I think there's no chance of her getting within 20 points. I think in the end, it might be closer to 30 or 35. It's going to be a night to remember. I can't wait. Yes. The live stream the next day will be so cheerful. I'm going to laugh about it, about Miss Piggy losing her job. It's going to be hilarious. Yes, Dave DeMoran pointing out it's still a pickled dish, but they flavor it with chili powder usually now. Prior to a more globalistic economy, there was no spiciness in kimchi. It was just a very strong fermented pickle dish, pickled vegetables. It's sort of like atjar, only, not sweetened, I guess. Jotham, do you think the powers will actually stop Trump from running? If he runs, do you think they'll stage another effective honkening? They will try both, just to be clear. I'm getting Hillary Clintoned by flies here, by the way. And now my camera's not focused. Just a sec. Here, you can see my hand up close and take prints from it and then frame me for crimes. The Dharma Bomb, I think everyone is right except for me, so just forget I said anything. Clank. Kalash Nikov, we need to start referring to Cenk as Cenk Ogre. No, I just call him Buffalo Man. Ozzy's Robots. Clank. Since the Dems and establishment declared war on half of the U.S. population, do you think Kevin McCarthy will respond in kind with the investigations, etc.? He seems like Ryan Light. P.S. Only 1 1/2 Biden unit away from 1K subs. Yeah, that's pretty great. I think you mean yourself? I was wondering what you're referring to. Yes, Kevin McCarthy is a cuck. He's pathetic, and he should not be leading the Republicans in any effective manner. They should shove him aside in favor of someone who will actually do their job instead of being a useful idiot, sort of like Mitch McConnell. The Happy Plague Doctor, my buddy is making kimchi this year. It's spiced with Korea radishes. They'll grab you by the boo-boo. Yeah, see, that's more the way to do it. That would be more authentic with radish in it. Cam2425 IA on Rumble. WAPO isn't worth wiping my ass with. Agreed. Joker1, did you hear Trump built a nuclear warhead in his wine cellar and paid Ukrainian hookers to christen it with P? Lol. The Brujo, heard you mention the Treaty of Versailles recently. Tick History's Bank Wars, the Weimar Hyperinflation, episode 4 on May 31st is contrary to your point of view, lays out a solid argument with sources. Enjoy the koala coins. Thank you for the koala coins. I'd like to try koala meat too, but I'm pretty sure that's definitely illegal. Not that Brandon. Here's some diaper fund money. Long live Sticks. So yeah, we've got Liz Cheney has given up. She's pivoting completely. She's not even bothering to pretend to still be in the race. And she had been begging Democrats to vote for her. I guess her internal polls showed that didn't actually work. So now she wants an MSNBC slot or something. Yeah, these flies are really annoying me. I keep killing them, but they keep coming back. They're the Democrats of the household. PolitiFact here. Stand up for the facts. Please give us fucking money because, otherwise we'll be insolvent. James Risch statement. The minute the president speaks about it to someone, he has the ability to declassify anything at any time without any process. PolitiFact's rating, mostly true. Of course, I don't give a shit what PolitiFact says, but I did want to analyze this one because it's hilarious. Why did they not simply label it fully true? Because they started talking about Trump giving information to the Russians and things like that towards the end of the article. The fact is this, it is fully true. Donald Trump and any other president can simply mention in passing something classified, and documentation regarding it is no longer classified. It has already been released to someone without explicit security clearance. Ergo, the idea, and it's partially diplomatic, the idea is that the president, if muzzled by being unable to talk about classified things, cannot conduct diplomacy. They'd be walking through a minefield, walking on eggshells every time they had a conversation with a diplomat or a foreign dignitary or something. The idea, therefore, is that they're capable of discussing these things. If the president deems that something is not so important or not so difficult to talk about without a security problem, that they mention it to Macron, they mention it to Putin, they mention it to their cousin or something. They mention it to another person. Well, it's no longer classified. There's no need to. The commander-in-chief with that sole executive authority has determined it doesn't need to be. That's the long and short of it. Go through this fucking article, by the way. It's very funny. They even admit that Congress can't enact a statute against it. EOs can't do anything about it. The judiciary has nothing to do with it. The president has the sole capability. But they still list two caveats, more than halfway down the article. So, Risch's comment holds water when it comes to the extent of the president's powers, but some experts said Risch's formulation leaves out some notable aspects of the particular case involving Trump. The first caveat, while Trump has the power to declass information, he doesn't appear to have done that in this case, at least at the time the story broke. But he did. That's what you're going to have to prove in a court of law if you want a case that he didn't. That's impossible to do. There's no question the president had broad authority to classify almost anything at time without any process, but that's not what happened here, said Stephen Vladek. He did not, in fact, declassify the information he shared with the Russians, which is why the WAPO did not publish that information. He didn't share any information with the Russians. That is a lie. And then what was point number 2 down here? The second caveat, just because something is legal doesn't mean it's a smart idea. What the hell does that have to do with the actual statement by Risch? It doesn't have anything to do with whether it's wise or whether you consider it to be smart. It has to do with the legality of the situation. So I rate it fully true. Yes, Donald Trump was within his rights to have whatever papers he wanted. If he ever mentioned them to any other person, and you have to prove that he didn't, if he claims that in a court of law, they are declassified. It is legal. You do not have to believe that it's a good idea. Apache Senpai. Hey, Sticks, did you hear about the MSNBC journal implying they should execute Trump over the raid? I think a former CIA director agreed. Not a huge surprise, but they're ultimately completely irrelevant. I think I just injured or killed that fly. Excellent. Trevor Headley. Can't believe I used to be far left Bernie Young Turk supporter and over a couple years woke up and Sticks a main reason. Thank you, dude. I appreciate that. I'm glad to claim a little bit of credit in your red-pilled adventure. Now you clank instead of jank, I suppose, will be the new meme. Mustafa the Great. The deep state is becoming so desperate to get rid of Trump, I wouldn't rule out them trying to JFK them. A lot of people concerned about that. He has his own security force, though, too. Not just the Secret Service, which is should be disbanded in favor of the U.S. military guarding our chief executive, by the way. They should be gone. Get a couple squads of Marines there. Nobody's going to get near the White House. They'll be too afraid. The Grizzly, what do you think happens if Trump gets elected in 24? What do you think the deep state will try to do if all their rigging and blackmailing fail? Will they just try to stop him from entering the White House, block the door? There will be mass riots. They will burn D.C. again. They will attempt to disrupt by, bribing people in the House and the Senate. They'll do what they did before. They've already been doing this, so I don't see why anyone would be afraid of their wrath. Dr. Zeodin. Hi-ho, Kermit the Frog here. Fuck you, Sticks. My wife is amazing. She fought the bad man and ignored the wishes of her people to stand on principle. Hi-ho. Did I do a good impression? I hope so. Stephen McIntyre, we have to raid Mar-a-Lago because Mamaga WMDs. Yes, Trump is starting a secret dark army of stormtroopers, and now they're trying to get nukes. Kalashnikov, one of my leftist friends told me that she thinks Trump stole the nuclear warhead schematics and that Barron Trump is currently building them right now. And no, she wasn't joking. I hope that you're joking about her not joking, to tell the truth. Otherwise, that makes me scared. Much more scared than the idea of Donald Trump having a nuke, by the way. He'd probably be the one that would be most reluctant to use it. Audis Shropshire. Hi, Sticks. You are my family's daily news source. Could you wish my wife, Melanie, a happy anniversary? I managed to meet a woman in the People's Republic of New Jersey that isn't a shrieking leftist. She's a huge fan. Happy anniversary to you and Melanie. And with my Clank blessing, make sure to share a coffee later with one another. Oh, thank you, everyone, for liking my Kermit the Frog impression. Kermit the Frog. I also do a good Bernie Sanders. I can't do Biden, though, mainly because I'm coherent and I'm not insane. Newsweek, opinion. The Mar-a-Lago raid is the desperate act of a corrupt establishment. Yes, indeed, the liberals are the establishment. By the way, this article actually later on goes kind of off kilter. Even though it's Newsweek, generally they're okay, by missing link media standards anyway. Or are they legacy media? I don't know if there's any like newsprint or anything like that. Or is Newsweek paper, TV? I don't know. Anyway, going through this and talking about law enforcement being misused, etc. You can go through it more yourself. Archived link in the description. This was just something that I did want to point out, which is the general prevailing notion among Trump fans, and I warned about this and nobody listens, is that if you do this sort of thing, it's going to cause social alienation to a significant proportion of the population. The majority of Republicans, a significant proportion of independents, and at this point, probably even a few left independents are behind Trump. The latter group may not solidify. The former groups will. They're looking at a shitty economy. They're looking at multiple wars and other failings of the Beijing-Biden administration, and they're comparing Trump positively to that. You are alienating them. You are effectively what the establishment has done here is give another reason to people to believe that the establishment just is terrified of Trump because they know that he could potentially win. I happen to agree with that basic assessment of the situation. Joseph Anda. Clank, thanks for bringing us real news. What do you think will come of this latest investigation? Looks like another witch hunt. And it is. It's clearly a witch hunt. What comes of it, I'm not sure. If they're crazy enough to charge Trump, first they get the protests probably. And secondly, I don't think that there's any way that they can really take him out behind the woodshed. Here's the problem. And I was going to analyze this anyway. We'll deviate for a minute. Imagine that you get a case against Trump. How do they charge him? He will claim in court, I declassified all of this material. As the defendant, he has the right to be considered innocent until proven guilty. The DOJ is going to have to show compelling evidence that he did not declassify the information. The easiest way to do that is for him to talk about it with another person who doesn't have security credentials. So a foreign dignitary, a prime minister, his fucking son, his wife, literally anyone under the sun. He chooses at that time to declassify it. Trump, as a former chief executive, can claim one very important thing. I had this conversation about the declassified document that you're claiming was not declassified in private, and for security reasons, I claim executive privilege and I will not discuss it further. There you go. There's the problem. He can effectively claim anything under the sun has been declassified, and there's not anything legally they can do about it. The counter to this, and this is the sleazy part that they may try to use if they launch a case, and again, it's a terrible idea, but they might be crazy enough and terrified enough to do so. The DOJ can say, no, we have evidence that you did not declassify this and such a conversation did not take place. But we can't reveal the evidence before the grand jury or whatever ends up happening because it's classified. We're not capable of doing that. It's top secret. So we can't show you what you supposedly didn't declassify but had on hand, and or who signed the affidavit swearing up and down that you never discussed it with them. We can't reveal that because it's pertinent to national security issues. It's a catch-22 situation where you have two entire countermanding constitutional arguments, probably requiring a Supreme Court case. If they do that, it will be evidence that they simply want to try to keep him from running in 24. They may be desperate enough to try it. Whether it works, different story. Source, any nuclear secrets from Trump are now in the hands of a man with dementia who gets 10% of every sleazy international deal his druggy son works up. True. External Genju, I'm trying to resolve an issue with PayPal and I'm curious if you have ever experienced a slow response with them. Also, if you ever seek a well put together medical kit, come check out Minuteman Medkits. Yes, you have mentioned Minuteman Medkits before. Sounds intriguing and I'll have to check it out. No, I've never had a problem with PayPal, actually. I don't really use it, though. I mean, once they banned, was it Sargon? They banned a content creator years ago, and I effectively stopped using them except on necessity. I've used them only a few times. Like my illustrator, I have to use PayPal to pay her through it. Otherwise, I don't use it. I have an account there just as a placeholder. Zach the Celtic Sky, can you do an Anthony Fauci impression, Sticks? Lol. Yeah, here you go. That's the best impression I can do. I'd have to listen to recordings of his voice. In order to do an impression of someone, you have to sort of do it by ear. I can play a keyboard by ear a little bit, by the way. And I just sort of adapt my voice because it's funny. I used to do that as a kid, too. People thought it was hilarious for some reason. Nuclear Taco, nice to have someone to listen to while I work. Enjoy the funds. Thank you very much. Not a banned account. Is it anti-Semitic to criticize AG Merrick Garland? No, but there are people who believe so. Same with George Soros for some reason. J-Bose. They're looking for Trump's evidence that implicates Obama in the meetings that kicked off Russiagate. Possible. Trump holds a grudge and will prosecute Obama if reelected or make it public. Well, that wouldn't stop him from making it public, just to be clear. He'd still have access to those records from the National Archives if reelected. So that part, I think, falls through. It is possible that he had some copies of stuff that the FBI and the deep state really don't want people to potentially know. It is possible. Yolt Nick, enjoying some French pressed coffee for the first time. Clank that like button. Did you see but her emails apparel cringe? Yes, I saw that from Hillary Clinton and it was hilarious. French press coffee, by the way, is excellent. I accidentally got my French press all fucked up when I got one. God, I think it was for my 27th birthday or something. My mom got it for me. And it got left out because I didn't drink coffee for a little while. And it got moldy. And there was just, I mean, the next time, even after cleaning it, the next batch of coffee still smelled like mushrooms and had to throw it out. It was sad. It was fun. Will Gooding. I wonder what an FBI raid on the Obamas, the Clintons, the Bidens, the Pelosi's, and the Schumers would turn up. Maybe something for Trump to consider if and when he takes office again. No, he shouldn't consider that. Just force him out of office. The ring of Sauron corrupts all that try to use it. I want to shrink the size of government, not have Trump misuse it once he's in office too. Even if you know these people are guilty as sin, the retaliatory thing has to end at some point. Ray C 2020, Amityville horror flies, be gone. On Rumble. Joker 1, Biden is easy. Come on, man. You know the thing. If you didn't vote for me, you ain't zzz. He's a bad dude, the guy. Corn Pop. Longino, Sticks, you're the best alternative and honest news commentator on planet Earth. Best to your family. Peace out. Thank you for that. Canopies, why can't I do super chats through the Rumble app, but only through the browser? I literally have no clue because I never use apps for anything. By the way, we're getting up towards 5,000 viewers. Pretty good. Let's see. Not a banned account. Chances of boogaloo by midterms. Do not want. Yeah, you got to throw that disclaimer in there. 0%. It's not going to happen. Dr. Zeodin. Sticks, check out Brandon Haria gun meme reviews. He is like Demo Ranch, but says fuck. Hello, you sexy YouTube mother lovers. Sounds pretty funny. So, yeah. Then we've got Governor DeSantis, and this article is from the Tampa Bay Times whining about him. Governor DeSantis missed opportunity on the Mar-a-Lago raid. Editorial. So the editorial page of the Tampa Bay Times, this is their editors, whining about DeSantis. The entire thing is a gigantic, overly emotional, improperly written screed about how DeSantis is such a terrible person. How dare you decry the raid on the Mar-a-Lago? And I mean, go through it. First off, sir, the regime is a weak construction. At least try capitalizing the article, the regime. See? More sinister already. They're basically doing like the talk down thing to the sitting governor of the state in which the Tampa Bay Times happens to be based. That's, by the way, not the greatest idea, just to be clear. If you think that DeSantis is being a tyrant, being authoritarian, maybe you should shut the fuck up. Second, leaving it, the raid? Really? You can do better. Try the raid by armed federal stormtroopers and safecrackers swarming Mar-a-Lago. You're being so hyperbolic. It's like you people are supposedly good at writing. Shit, maybe you should just let me run the show at the Tampa Bay Times. You might actually sell some copies. That's more descriptive, and the use of federal helps readers understand that you would never think of disparaging law enforcement unless it's the federal variety. Well, yeah, there's no need for federal law enforcement. Sheriffs and constables are under the Constitution. Yeah, we don't need an FBI. They're not law enforcement anyway. It's a fucking bureau. They're not cops. It's totally different. They cooperate with law enforcement. They usually control law enforcement. No, the FBI is a bureau. It was incepted under emergency order at the executive level many, many decades ago. So yeah, they have a really big problem with Ron DeSantis. If he had only thrown Trump under the bus, they'd probably be hailing him as the next commander-in-chief. Oh my God, we finally found our golden boy. This is the restoration of the Republican Party. See, he really gets it. He's MAGA-like. He's balanced. He's the sane MAGA conservative. He too, like Trump, wants lower taxes and a wall and stuff. But we feel better about him because, you know, he understands that Orange Man bad. That's what they were hoping for, by the way, from him. Will Gooding, I was being facetious, of course. James Bonnell, have you ever encountered the wasp spider, Argiope brunishi, in the Netherlands? They attack wasps and analogies. No. I don't know if that's a serious reference or a general biological one, actually. Michael Cricklow, idolizing a politician is like thinking the stripper actually likes you. Quote by Alex Stein. Yes, that was very funny. Opinionated junkie, raiding former president is a bad idea. It leads to civil conflict. And I am not just talking Trump. Imagine this happening in between 2017, 2019. Yeah, exactly. If Trump had okayed a raid on the Obama's house and said, well, we've got papers on Lois Lerner or papers on the tarmac meeting, people would have called it a coup. They would have been right, by the way. Did I not point it out at the time that it would have been a bad idea to actually try to lock her up beyond the sloganeering? It's the same fucking shit now. I don't think that they're going to be able to lock him up, though, dude. Now we have to talk about Salman Rushdie, author of the Satanic Verses, stabbed in neck on stage in New York. He is on life support at the moment, so he's not doing well. He's like Anne Hesh, only not brain dead, I suppose, at the time. He was medevaced out. He was stabbed on stage while talking about his literature and his views and so forth. He is the author of the Satanic Verses. This is a book about Islam, talking about Muhammad, etc. And for that and for other works and things that he said, he has been issued a fatwa. There are two possible reasons for this. And again, as I pointed out at the beginning of this stream, if you look just at the name of the person who attacked him, I'm not going to say anything further, you will probably be able to deduce the motive. There are two possible motives. One is that Salman Rushdie is extremely pro-India. So India, Pakistan, and to a much lesser extent, China, keep fighting over the Kashmiri province. This is a thing to this day, decades later. It is possible that a Pakistani national, therefore, is responsible for political reasons. The more likely explanation is that this was an attack rooted in religion. That is, that someone who was a zealot of the kind that we probably can't even mention on YouTube for the purposes of the stream, decided to stab him because there's a fatwa against him arguing for him to be killed. I noticed that is mysteriously absent from most legacy media reporting. If a Christian nationalist gets up on stage, because Rushdie is an avowed atheist now, Christian nationalist with a robe and a crown of thorns on his head starts hacking at his neck, it would be all over the place. Oh my God, these Christians are so violent and so forth. Neo-pagan with the hammer of Thor tattoos and you know, the Yggdrasil around his neck or something does this. Oh, well, obviously, really, it's probably related to religion. If a person with a shirt that said, I don't know, Free Palestine or something attacked him, the motive would be obvious. But under this circumstance, they're pretending that the motive is not obvious. But it is. We all know why someone like Salman Rushdie would be attacked. It wasn't someone randomly went crazy and decided to stab the dude talking on stage. They knew who he was. They knew about him. And there are really only two possible motives. One is nationalistic. The other is purely religious. Those are the only motives. You're not finding much about that on legacy media. Even the right-wing legacy media, they shit their pants on these things. They don't want to talk about these things. Hunter Biden's crack pipe. Since Liz Cheney is going to be beat, what is a bunch of Republicans switched over to the Democrat side and decimated what's left of them in Wyoming? That'd be funny. Stranger things have happened. Yes, Rushdie is on a ventilator. He was stabbed by someone who is either Islamo-fascistic or somebody who has Pakistani nationalism in mind. Those are the only two possibilities. There is no other, let's just fucking admit it and get it over with. It wasn't a white supremacist, wasn't an anti-Semite. It wasn't someone who just hates the nation of India for no reason. They're like, oh my God, 7-Elevens and shit. I hate Indian food. Those are the two possible motives. And that's really it. Jeff D. USMC, 15-year libertarian here. 2 reasons. Ron Paul in the news speaking about government lockdowns and non-essential workers. How can anyone be non-essential if they are that? Why do you have a job? Yeah, I would say fire all the non-essential workers. Absolutely. Fire 90% of all the people in the bureaus. Life will be better for everyone else. Dr. Zaodin, Sticks, I have the military structure broken down. We are the 6th Crackhead Battery under the 6th Sticks Battalion in the 6th Salty Army of the 6th Razor Force. That sounds very convoluted. Nervous Sips. They wouldn't do a raid if they weren't going to arrest. I disagree. It may be just a desperate reach to try to find anything, something under the sun to salvage the January 6th committee from dying and to distract from it. So yeah, Salman Rushdie, who's been under fatwa for a considerable length of time, has been stabbed in the neck. He is on a ventilator, so he may or may not make it, which is unfortunate. We don't have enough of... I noticed that things like this tended not to happen under the Trump years. All of a sudden, Biden gets in, Islamofascism comes back. Just to be clear about where we're headed as a country. Next one, Shakespeare's Globe weighing in here. Our new play, I, Joan, shows Joan of Arc, of course, French folk hero, military leader at a time, who uses the pronouns they and them. We are not the first to present Joan in this way. Okay, you're stretching it there a little bit. And we will not be the last. We can't wait to share this production with everyone and discover this cultural icon. Yes, the fact that Joan of Arc preferred men's clothes at the time because they're more comfortable to wear in fucking battle is clearly evidence that she was a cross-dresser. Her cutting her hair short so it wouldn't get in her way when she's riding her fucking horse and hacking people down is clearly evidence that she was androgynous, probably a lesbian, maybe she was a transsexual or something. This is actually what they're going with. And I made the comment earlier today. I made an exclusive on this morning. So follow me on some New Tech exclusive. If you're following me on Rumble, you already are. If not, Rumble, BitChute, Odyssey, Minds, wherever. And what I pointed out was this. Imagine if you did this erasing women thing, which is what this is. It's like the fashion shows where they have women in garbage bags trotting down the stage. It's because the person who designed the clothes fucking hates women. There's usually a reason for that. I won't say any more, by the way, on a YouTube stream. You can probably guess what I'm referring to. Well, several reasons. One more important than the others. Imagine if you did this with Olga of Kiev, which they would shit their pants. They wouldn't do that right now because of the Ukraine war, even though back then Ukraine, Russia, effectively the same, the Rus. And they said, well, she killed all of her suitors because she didn't want to remarry. Clearly, she hated men and was a lesbian or something. It wouldn't be historically proper. The fact is, Joan of Arc was a female. She did female things. She had no problem with this. She was a war leader and a religious zealot. If a person look at men, The idea of long hair as being evidence of the feminine, by the way, stereotype and trope aside. Imagine if a man, imagine that I was going to go into battle. Okay, I've been impressed into an army. I'm the commander of the clankers. The apocalypse has come, and there are still remnant Chinese communist forces across the Western world. So I get a group of people together, and they decide that I'm going to command them, and we're going to go into battle. Do you think I'm going to keep my fucking long hair? Do you genuinely think that? Are you fucking nuts? No, I'm going to shave it bald because it'll be a lot easier. Also, I'm going to shave this because otherwise a gas mask generally won't properly fit. That doesn't mean that I've decided to become androgynous. It doesn't mean that I've decided to make a fashion statement. It doesn't have anything to do with these things. Joan of Arc is not going to wear a woman's dress under her armor. That's just the long and short of it. The idea that Joan of Arc was androgynous or used they, them pronouns, dude, the concept didn't even exist till you fucking moron commies decided to dream it up as a subversion effort. She was purely female. She probably was straight. She probably, she might have been asexual, I suppose. She was extremely religious and pious. She was bloodthirsty, technically speaking. And she's not going to ride into battle in a fucking skirt. That wouldn't make any sense. That's like saying that if a woman is crossing the stream, she's got a long skirt on, she's like a peasant in the 1800s, and she hitches up her skirt between her legs so that it kind of resembles trousers so that it doesn't get wet, that all of a sudden she's like exploring her manhood or something. That's just not realistic. Doesn't make any fucking sense. Jesus. Literally in Joan of Arc's case. Then they burned her as a heretic. Then they had later on they apologized for it. Well, yeah, we were wrong. Whoops. Sorry about excommunicating you. We'll put a cross up where we burned you to ashes as a witch. Feel sorry for her. She was only 19 when she died, I think. Will Gooding, any thoughts on the day, on one day owning an FN FAL? DS Arms makes the SA-58. I want one so bad. Prayers for Mr. Rushdie. I don't know about that. I really want a 357 revolver and some sort of rifle in 22 just for plinking and small game. I don't know. I'm going to take a look at what they have when I get back to the United States, to Vermont. I'm going to go to multiple gun stores, just sort of check out the inventory and see what I want. Jack Handy, hello from Colorado. I listen to you every morning before I head to the gym. Gets me fired up. Thanks, Sticks. Thank you very much. Make sure to listen to New Retro Wave, too. That'll get you fired up for your gym workout, too. Dr. Zeodin, for God in France. The Grizzly, Georgetta Washington, the first female president of color who fought the evil fascist British Empire, led by Adolf Hitler and Confederate soldiers, most historically accurate movie since Project 1619. Yeah, I'm sure this will be historically accurate, this production about Joan of Arc. She's going to be, I don't know, making out with other women, chopping her boobs off or something. Even the picture for this, it looks like someone who's, the brawny female slathered in mud and shit like that. I guess the understanding is that she's like transitioning or something, I guess. Non-binary, I don't know, something Tumblr-ish. Wolf Jarl, greetings, Sticks, Hexnut Spanner. Have you read Joe Veal's book, Deadly Deception at Port Arthur? Archive.org is your friend to learning how the powers that be disarmed Australians. I haven't read it. Dr. Zeodin, Sticks, you keep this up, you'll have to answer. No, who to? You'll have to answer to the Coca-Cola company. I get the reference to Dr. Strangelove. JLA, would you really like an occult video on psychic vampires or vampire myths? Oh, you would really like one. I did one on vampirism long ago, several years ago, actually. It's buried in the playlist. You'll have to go through it. I think I did talk about psychic vampirism and the difference between that and sanguinarianism, however. Not a band account. If World War III happens, do we still owe mortgage payments? Oh, absolutely. Even if there's no one to pay them to. Geek, I'm sure a devout Catholic like Joan would love being portrayed as a modern, mentally ill Zoomer. Yeah, I'm sure she would love that. She'd be just totally woke. I pointed out, no, she'd be in armored suspenders duck hunting out in the hinterlands leading a survivalistic lifestyle, or she'd be a fucking nun. She would spit on these people. She would consider them to be heretics. She would have wanted them killed, quite literally. People back then had a very different read on what heresy meant. She felt the brunt of this. She got burned at the stake for heresy and witchcraft. For saying that she, I guess, talked to God or something. Mr. Wonderful, Australia was never disarmed. They only banned the fun semi-autos. There are more gun owners in Australia now than ever. Yeah, but not with fully functional modern firearms, so that's rather sad. If you can still get revolvers, though, that's a good stand-in. It is technically semi-automatic if it's dual action. And now we have the final story. This is a funny one. Evocado, or Ecovado, rather, could be a greener alternative gold. To green gold, rather. Sorry, I wasn't seeing the edge of this. The formatting is a little bit off on this, but we'll get through it. As the climate warms, eating sustainable foods and a plant-based diet are ways to curb carbon emissions. Innovative food alternatives can help consumers do their part for the planet while still enjoying the taste and textures of foods they love, like the Ecovado pictured, an eco-friendly avocado alternative created by UK-based designer and researcher Irina Shakawi. Look through the gallery to learn more. And it does look like an avocado, artistically rendered. To be clear, they got the look right, more or less, although the pit in the one that they exposed there looks like it's sideways. It'd be a little bit of a problem. Often referred to as green gold, the avocado has soared in popularity in recent years. 11 billion pounds of the fruit are consumed annually around the world, according to the World Economic Forum. Oh, I wonder why the WEF, of all groups, is mentioned in this particular article. However, our love of avocados comes at a significant cost to the environment. Approximately 2,000 liters of water are used to grow just 1 kilogram of avocados, while forests are cleared to make space for avocado trees. Well, if it's a tree, then, it's still kind of forested. Isn't this kind of like what orchards mean? Why don't you just mix it up and use permaculture techniques? That's why London-based researcher and designer Irina Shakawi decided to develop an eco-friendly avocado alternative called the Ecovado. And what's it made out of here? Made with beeswax and natural food coloring containing spinach and charcoal powder, the Ecovado skin mimics avocado peel. It does, by the way, genuinely, they did a good job at least making it look similar. The meat of the alternative fruit is made with 4 simple ingredients. Broad beans as the base, apple for freshness, cold-pressed rapeseed oil, rapeseed for creaminess, and a sprinkle of hazelnut. Here's my problem. If you look at how much energy and potentially water goes into producing the fake avocado, plus the agriculture for these 4 ingredients, would it not exceed that of simply growing avocados? The answer is probably yes. And this is the sort of thing that they don't discuss in these articles. I happen to know that hazelnuts at the very least do require a significant amount of water. So even if you're only using a sprinkle of it, and I don't know how much this would taste like an avocado, it sounds like the peel doesn't even need to be there because it's literally just for decoration. It sounds like a bad idea. It sounds like a losing proposition. And this is what we get with NIMBYism. The rich will still eat their avocados. Hell, they'll grow them themselves. Look down south. I was in southern Texas. Every other fucking lawn had a fucking avocado tree. They grow their own limes and shit like that. Don't even need to water it half the time unless there's a considerable drought. But the rich will eat the avocados, and you'll eat, again, bean paste with apple in it. And this will taste similar enough, I suppose. It'll be sort of like steak. Yours will be grown in a lab and be clonal, if you're lucky, if you can afford it. Otherwise, it'll be made out of, compressed crickets or something like that. It's a pile of horse shit. It's NIMBYism. No rich person is going to be eating those. Transylvania 90, to be more fair, her heresy was politically motivated. Yes, absolutely. Lance Corporal Veteran. Malcolm Nance is promoting his book, They Want to Kill Americans, where he calls Republicans insurgents, all to scare leftists to vote in November. 10 copies sold. Congratulations. Cold Warrior, whenever I hear that the Coca-Cola comment, I automatically start sporting a Woody. It was a good movie. By the way, General Ripper actually had a point. I made an exclusive on that some days ago. Lance Corporal Veteran, how to get rid of gophers. You shoot them. Possibly eat them. I don't know how edible they are. Green Top LLC, do you have an herbal recommendation for workout recoveries? Maybe a tea. I would relax from the working out. The best way to relax I can think of is chamomile or valerian. No, or both. So yeah, you'll have fake avocados soon. No more guacamole for you. It'll be made out of beans and apple because I guess supposedly they are easier to grow and require less water. I would like to point out that water is neither created nor destroyed during any process on Earth, so it literally doesn't matter. Well, okay, you can actually create it through certain combustions, but on a tiny basis. It's basically in stasis. I'm trying to do this on Rumble. Everyone on Rumble, I really am going to try to get to your super chats, but every time someone comments, it automatically goes back to the bottom. Joker 1, I'm drinking French press coffee right now. Yeah, now I don't even know where it was. Yeah, I just get to it and then it disappears. From a Bodum, yeah. Chamford, French press, 1 liter, about $40 on Amazon. Stop commenting on Rumble. Shut up for a minute. Jesus Christ. I remember when the Ayatollah issued the fatwa back when SNL was funny, says Joker 1. Dennis Miller called him some man in a rush to die. Boyd 3, if FBI raid will not stop Trump, their next step will be assassination. They may try, actually. Not that Brandon. Innovative food alternatives reminds me of that scene in Judge Dredd. Eat recycled food. It's good for you and for the environment. Lol. Please don't send any more super chats because it's a goddamn struggle every time on fucking Rumble. And I would rather turn down the fucking money than deal with that continuously. Rumble needs to get on it. Contact these fuckers. Rumble's such a great site, but you've got this one massive, terrible thing. I'm going to be doing the midterm stream. I might have 10,000 people tuning in. How the hell am I supposed to read even a tenth of these things if it always goes down to the bottom? Holy shit. It actually pisses me off because, I mean, they just got their investment deal almost finalized with hundreds of millions of dollars. I can't even read the friggin' chats. Nervous Sips. PayPal stole almost $1 million from Eric July or Julie. I'm not surprised. Yeah, they've been known to steal money from people. If you hold it on PayPal itself and then they cancel your account, you may or may not actually get it back. Ozzy's Robots. By the way, there are funny new Beavis and Butthead episodes. Oh, Jesus. Marco G. Don't mind helping the planet, but not at the expense of high gas prices and poverty. Plus, is China and India going to do their part? No, never. The whole idea is NIMBYism. You send the industry there and cut jobs in the U.S. so that you can make people more reliant on government. Not a banned account. I'll super chat if I want. You're not my real dad. No, I was just talking to people on Rumble because, God, I can't do it. Chitty saying Salty makes it work. Well, maybe he has less people viewing him. I don't know. Kalashnikov. Are they seriously claiming avocado orchards are bad for the environment, but bean farms are not? Who do these people fool? The psych ward patients? Yeah, that seems to be about it. By the way, about 5,200 people watching live. Yeah, get it figured out, Rumble. You have the money to fine-tune the app to perfection now. Exactly. Transylvania 90, ask Salty. He has some system on Rumble where the super chats appear in some separate tab above that he can click on and you see them for a few minutes. Oh. Yeah, I've got nothing. He must be using an app or something like that. Oh, he gets like 20,000 views and shit like that? Well, then he's definitely going to tell me how he's doing it because I've got no fucking clue. Reinfold FZ. Does it help you if I buy your books from Book Depository? Fees for international shipments from Amazon to Peru are higher, $20 per book. My apologies for that. I believe that I still do get my normal cut, yes, because the book's still been purchased. I've never used Book Depository. I know Barnes & Nobles offers a lot of my titles, too. Mark Boldazar, 5 euros. No comment. Thank you very much. Yeah, so Salty gets a shit ton of views and somehow is capable of going through the comments. More power to him. I can't figure the hell out. Maybe it's because I'm a Luddite. Maybe I'm using the wrong browser, too. That's always a possibility. No, Crystal Hard, I did not say that I was more popular than Salty. I was asking because I haven't seen his streams and didn't know how he was getting to the comments. I'm well aware of the fact that some people will try to start shit between content creators. Will Gooding, comments going to bottom equals Styx's biggest pet peeve. No, I'll tell you what my biggest pet peeve is. Cat hair and everything that I eat and drink. It's a little bit difficult. Yeah, to anything. There is no rivalry between me and Salty. I like his content, but I didn't know how many people were actually watching his streams. I was asking because I had no clue. Night 36. Hi, Sticks. Have you bought Razor's book yet? No, I don't really do the noir thing. Like, the Mauser toting, Tommy gun era sort of thing. It's not exactly my bag. I guess I probably should get a copy of it, though. Give it a review. I hit the Rumble Plus, says Chitty. So, I don't know. I'll figure it out someday. But seriously, you'd think that they could solve it on Rumble where, a comment comes in and it doesn't automatically go all the way to the bottom. If you have more than 500 or 600 people watching, you're getting a significant number of comments regardless. You might not have time if you're on multiple platforms. Even if you're just on Rumble, it would be difficult because you have to keep dragging it up. I don't understand. You might get more money, Rumble, if you fix this problem, just to be clear. Mr. Wonderful, Salty doesn't get YouTube Super Chats because they stiffed him. He only has to deal with Rumble chats on a stream. Makes it easier to manage. That would be helpful, but if he's getting that many people, I'm sure that it still would be a problem like with this. Ray C 2020 on Rumble. Ever miss the Rio Grande Valley? South Padre Island. Fun place to party. I loved South Padre Island. Thought it was great. Anyway, we've gone through all the news. Now I'm just rambling, mainly about chats. So I'm going to go offline now. Also, I'm starving and I don't know exactly what's going to be for dinner. Again, chili is on my mind. I don't know if Liz will agree with me, but chili is always relevant with extra kidney beans. That is the way that you do it. Yes, beans go in chili. That's about all. Peace out.